5-2 at half-time, and as is the way in all of those games, no goals at all in the second half. We could have predicted that one, but nobody could have predicted 5-2 at half-time.
No.
That first half, the majority of that first half performance, how impressive was that from Arsenal?
It's very impressive, and when you consider we're dealing with a time now and the results where, even though it's a London derby, West Ham are not in great form, they can't afford to lose any games now. And so, you know, to go and play in that manner, you know, I mean, it's a bit worrying when it was 4-0 and then they scored 2. I started to get Newcastle vibes, but it was more a case of, no, this team won't do that. And obviously, they're scoring the 5th. But, like, what was impressive is the way that they're blocking out the noise about them being the main challengers, because I think that now Chelsea are amongst that as well. The main thing Arsenal have to do is stay in their lane and win their games. Because, you know, the way Liverpool are going, like we said, they look imperious at the minute. So that was a great result from that point of view. They just have to win the games.
Yeah, there's no room for error now for Arsenal. But they look like they're just in great form. It's coincided, obviously, with the return of Martin Odegaard. Yeah. But it's whether that ground they lost is going to cost them come the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, the gap's there. We've spoken about that already, but I think the form that they're in attacking-wise was amazing to see. Some of the goals they scored at the weekend, Odegaard, you know, we all know how vital he is for that team, and the stats against when he's not on the team and how that reflects the way that they play. The frustrating thing was conceding 2 goals in the first half, knowing how dominant they are at the other end of the field. I think that, for me, kind of has to be the focus. Keep as many clean sheets as possible and know that your forwards can go and create and they can go and score.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic sort of recovery from Arsenal, and you feel like keeping everyone fit, this should be something they can continue to the end of the season.
Yeah, this performance and the performance against Forest, I think, were definitely their best of the season, especially considering West Ham has been a bit of a bogey team for Arteta in the last couple of years. They needed a bigger win away from home. And I think it's those non-penalty goals that we're seeing again, because we know that Arsenal, obviously reliable from the penalty spot, really good from set pieces, but it's their creativity from open play that I think a lot of fans and everyone have been struggling to see in recent weeks. But Forest game and this game, you saw that movement come back, you saw that confidence finish from Havertz. I think that makes a massive difference, and I think Wednesday's game against Manchester United is going to be really interesting.
You know what I think as well, Kels, just quickly on a couple of players that really need to, in this time where Arsenal can't afford to slip up unless Liverpool slip up, is people like Martinelli and Jesus. You know, but I think Martinelli, Jesus, Raheem Sterling. I think that this is a really big moment, this stage of the season, for them to step up if called upon to deliver something. They have to.
Do you think they can? I think, unfortunately for me, I just felt like they're 3... Maybe Martinelli actually the most out of them.
Yeah.
Sterling, he had a great performance against Preston in the Cup, but we haven't seen what he can do.
This is what I'm saying, Flo.
Jesus has struggled since
but I think what needs to happen at different stages in the season, if they're called upon, they have to do it. It's not a case of like, oh, yes, just not quite. They have to do it. Because for us to catch Liverpool, if that's the case, and probably try and get away from Chelsea the way they're going, you're going to need something else.
You need options.
Yeah, we can't just depend on
them that Odegaard's back, though? Because it seems to be helping all the attacking. But even Saka, who was doing well without him, is now flying. Now he's back inside.
Yeah, but he helps everybody. And all that does is it just shows how great Saka is, because everybody else, you can almost see things kind of fall away with Odegaard. But like with Saka, he continued to do what he does and then improved when Odegaard gets back.
And look at the difference when he's in the team.
It's like Rodri to City. We lose him and something's gone. Too many things work off of the back of him. He's that main cog.
People always say that, how can one player make such a difference? It's not him necessarily making the difference. It's the improvement that you get from the players around him.
Yeah, and you never really know if that's a feeling or just a footballing perspective, but for him, I think it's both. I think the areas that he picks up the ball and the key passes through to Saka at the weekend, it was just... Beautiful. That's the kind of style of play that we love to see Arsenal play, and he is so vital when it comes to that kind of football.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so now the question is, keep it going. Like you said, the game against Manchester United is going to be huge for this, because it's a kind of unknown quantity, and Man United we'll talk about in detail a bit later on. But Manchester United look like they've clicked in some way under Ruben Amorim. Still very, very, very early days, but it's suddenly a new challenge.
Yeah, it is, and I do worry maybe about Arsenal on the break and how they defend those transition situations. I do think on the sort of balance of squad, I think Arsenal's squad is better than Manchester United's. I think that's Manchester United's still a big weakness there. But I think Arsenal's home form has been better since they've come out of that little rough patch. But I think there will be that pressure against a very kind of confident team that is trying to shake things up and cause some problems. But Arsenal need to, like Jen said, get back to what was their strength last season, which was they were the best defensive team in the league. They had that foundation which got them so close to the title, and I think they need to keep that going again and build that defensive momentum because they're feeling it in attack again now.
And that plus their strength from set pieces. And you talked about Manchester City lacking physicality. Arsenal tread that line very carefully in their set pieces. They are a very strong physical presence.
Well, it's not even long ago. This is why you can't really listen to too many people. There's not too many pundits I listen to out there.
Just yourself.
Only us, obviously us. But no, it's when people saying, Arsenal, they've lost something. Remember, they used to have players that could play, and now they've got a lot of physicality. We need the physicality in players who can play. We've got Martin Odegaard who can play, and we've got the physicality of Marino or Declan Rice who can play. We've got Gabriel, we've got Kai Havertz, we've got physical players who can all play. But the main thing, like I say for us, Kels, is after the first 11, it's the people that come in to contribute. That's what it's going to have to be. You know what, can I just say, with Man United, and as good as it is for them at the minute, beating Ipswich and Everton, Amorim will know that this is a different kettle of fish with Arsenal. I think Arsenal, again, it's a game Arsenal have to win. I think it's a free hit for Man United with their improvement. I do believe that, with Ipswich and with Everton, Man United had a lot of the ball and they looked differently. They looked different with the ball. They had a lot of it. It's going to be interesting to see what they're going to be like without the ball against Arsenal. And that is the out-of-possession Amorim team I'm going to see. And if that kicks in, then, they're going to be a problem.
Go on.
I think you're spot on when you're talking about Arsenal as a whole squad, though. I think we saw that when you're looking at a 5-2 result and it's 5 different goal scorers. That's when people are stepping up. Whether it's a set piece or not, for me, doesn't matter. You have to be scoring from all areas of how to play football, right? Physicality, style of play, everything. And you're spot on. I think to win a Premier League, whether injuries happen, players have to step up in the right moments, and that's maybe what Arsenal have lacked in previous years. Players haven't stepped up when it's become crunch time. If that happens this year, of course they can catch up.
How do you think they'll cope with being the hunters again this season, chasing down that 9-point gap?
Well, it's unfortunate because, I know when we had those mishaps at the start of the season, I did feel very low because I know how tough I thought that we'd have been chasing City, but obviously it's not. It's Liverpool.
Is that better?
No, not really, because Liverpool now to do it. The thing is that what you realise, being an Arsenal fan at the moment, is that when you're chasing them, you just feel like any loss is losing massive ground. And that's what I felt was happening. And I'm quite pleased we arrested that in respect of losing the ground. But now we've got to try and catch them up. Brilliant to see us scoring the goals like that. But again, I'd rather us just continue to beat these teams and just to keep the pressure on Liverpool.
I think that's a better position to be in, though, because I think the problem with the expectation of the fans and the players is that when you do drop points in that position, when you're chasing City, every single points drop is the most deflated moment of the season. And the season's over, we've lost the title, which is what we already saw earlier in the season in the kind of conversations around the club. Whereas now it actually feels like when you're the chasing team, I think the only way is up. I think it's whatever happens, you're only ever going to be chasing, and I think that might be a better dynamic for Arsenal to take.
Because what happens is that if they do slip up on you, and you get closer, Kels. Like I remember when we was chasing United in '98. Any little point, it just fuels you even more, and then it gives them a little bit more pressure, and then you know what I mean? It was brilliant. But so hopefully they can do that this year.
The way that Arsenal play, it looks like they are very much on the front foot, and they're certainly not being like I was halfway between hampered and hindered, is what I was going by any pressure. I don't know which one. Christmas hampered by any pressure. Look, we're absolutely level on points with Arsenal on every single metric, and below them only on alphabetical order. Score.
Yeah, because now what we've seen, especially against Ipswich and Everton, is that with the possession they've had and using it well, they seem a little bit more compact. Obviously, Ahmad he's been fantastic. He's really benefited from Amorim coming in and seeing what he's capable of doing. Zirkzee the same, look like different players. And we've seen what Man United are capable of because they've got players, quality players that with time and with space and with structure will hurt you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And these are the attacking players we knew Manchester United had, but weren't seeing that kind of that ruthless attacking play from.
I know, I always find it so interesting when the squad doesn't change, right? But the manager does, and how much can change just from that. But the way that he's put confidence into his players, even seeing Rashford at that set piece, just having the trust in a player that to be on the edge of the box and put it in the bottom corner. OK, there was the deflection. But I'm happy to see him scoring goals. I think we've always known he's had the quality, but been out of form for a while now. So to see him get a couple of goals and make that big of an impact for United, I think under a new manager was great.
I mean, you're always going to get a little bit under a new manager, particularly when it's as flat as it was under Ten Hag at the end of his time there. But there are changes that are being made under Amorim that feel longer term than just this new manager bounce.
Oh, 100%. I think, he's gone to this back three, focusing on the wing-backs. We get the best out of Ahmad in that way. They push so high, so you've almost got these extra wingers. And I think
Press is
instantly...
coordinated flow.
Yeah. Exactly, and also they're moving the ball faster. Even in the moments where they didn't score yesterday, because they had these transition moments, they were just moving the ball so much faster. There was so much about Ten Hag that was so slow and, laborious, watching that team, thinking, God, just move the ball faster. Whereas I think under Amorim, we're seeing that quick play in and around the box. The players feel more confident as well. The tempo is higher. And I think you just get so much more out of your team. And this is only the beginning for them. I think there's still adjustments they need to make sure defensively they're solid. Because I still think, when I look at this squad, I still think that's a top 6 squad, not a top 4 squad. But sometimes you can overachieve regardless when you're getting the max out of your players.
I think that, what's going to be interesting, Kels, is looking at Manchester United out of possession. I mentioned it has been Ipswich, it has been Everton. I'm not talking about the best teams, but they did dismantle them. But I'm looking to see what they're going to be like when they come up against Arsenal, because Arsenal will have a lot of possession, and that is something that when you looked at Ten Hag, there was nothing. It was structureless. There's nothing there. So I know that will probably change, and that is what I'm interested to see from Amorim's team now.
It's the pressing that Flo mentioned, isn't it? Because was it Gary Neville who said Manchester United are a pressing team who don't know how to press?
Yes.
And suddenly they look coordinated. They're all working together, and that has to be the instructions of the new coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And that comes from training. That's practice. That's setting your players up in a right starting point in order to press. And I think that comes from when you have the ball, are you in a position that when we lose it, we can counter-press, get the ball back as quickly as possible? But it did. It looked so cohesive. Absolutely. It looked like they were all on completely the same page, positionally set up right. I think Ahmed was involved in all 4 goals, right? Whether he got the assist or not. And, to win the ball in such critical areas like he did, you're just set up for a press in the right way, and 100% that comes from management.
I know it was you, Flo, who was saying, this is the beginning, and there are going to be tougher challenges, and there are going to be hurdles to overcome. The only thing was that Everton had so much of the game early on in that, and what we've seen from Manchester United is if Everton had scored there is the potential for them to crumble. We don't know yet whether that's something that will still be in them, even under the new manager, and the head coach.
They did have some setbacks in Europe that they had to battle through, conceding some goals. So I think we're seeing them test a little bit, and I think it's important because I do think, that there is that new manager bounce you mentioned, and I still do believe this squad isn't amazing. So I think probably fans and pundits and everyone needs to adjust to that and not put too much pressure on. But it's Manchester United, so of course there's going to be pressure straight away. But you look at that back line and it's not the best defence. I think Onana's done pretty well. He's a great shot stopper. But it's how they build that defensively, which is going to be the foundation, which allows them more freedom going forward. So I still worry about that. And I think, like Ian said, our game, because it's that first challenge for Amorim, saying, OK, how are you going to manage this game? Out of possession, a lot of chances coming your way, because there were moments in that Everton game where if Beto had got a better angle, a better shot, they could have been in real trouble, but they navigated it and they won the game, and that's the most important
thing is as well, Kels, when you listen to Amorim at the start, when he watched his team, and I think it was Ipswich, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he was saying, I can see that my players are thinking too much. And so, like Jen rightly said, it's the training ground. He's probably doing a lot of work on the training ground. And when it starts to come as second nature, if Garnacho goes and I've got to come across here, then he comes here, then we get tight. It just comes as second nature, and then you just do it with confidence. They're still going through that stage. And this is why, like I say, I'm really looking forward to seeing them out of possession.
And I wonder if, as Flo says, if he doesn't have the most confidence in his defence, that's maybe part of the reason that they're so on the front foot. Because he's like, well, we're just going to have to get forward, just keep the ball away from the defenders.
Yeah, I mean, and you said it yourself, Kat, they were struggling for goals at the start of the season, so I think they can take a lot of confidence, though. Now they're finding form in front of goal and actually being creative. And like you were saying as well, that, it comes from the training field, simplifying the game. How do I put these players in the best position possible to go and create, to go and score goals, give them confidence? And full spot on. Look, defensively, are they tight-knit? Are they really, a Premier League winning team? A lot of people might doubt that, but they're scoring goals. They're finding some form, and the Arsenal match.
Like you said, Flo, they're getting the ball to their quality players quicker.
Yeah.
Bruno, Ahmad, if Eriksen's playing. I thought Zirkzee's link-up play was very good. And again, people say, yeah, it's on it. It doesn't make no difference. His confidence is growing.
Ipswich are hard to play against.
Yeah, they are. But like Man United are a better side, and with structure, they showed it.
The Arsenal game then, coming up, like you said, it's going to be a real test for Manchester United and for Ruben Amorim. If they do go on the front foot against Arsenal like that, is that the right approach for them? Well,
Arsenal will be able to deal with that, but it'll be brilliant because I think it'll be a fantastic game. Because just like Arsenal, if they come on the front foot against Arsenal, if Arsenal go on the front foot against them, which I think Arsenal should, then they can hurt us without a shadow of a doubt, and they know that we can probably cause them problems. So it's a Man United that are on their way back. So it's not the Man United, the Ten Hag Man United, where I would not be bothered about this game, if I'm going to be totally honest, and it's not disrespectful. It's just that I feel we would have beaten them. This is different because they know what they're doing now, they're getting more structured, and they're going to be playing a better team, that they will be punished for poor mistakes. So this is where we're going to really find out about them.
Yeah, nice early test.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I think, look, the high press is what's been working for them lately, and that's what's got them winning the ball in great areas and creating goals. So whether they do that against Arsenal, I'm not sure, but that's what's been working for him with the players he's got as well.
Yeah, it's starting to come together, we think. Early stages for Ruben Amorim. There might yet be a rude awakening for them against Arsenal midweek, though.
100%, and I think it's how you build those blocks of form, because there's going to be pressure, and I think probably most Manchester United fans have reset their expectations for this season and maybe thinking top four is probably something realistic to aim for, and that will still be a good achievement given where they've been at points across the last few years. So, yeah, I think it's just don't get ahead of yourself, which is never easy in football.
No, that is true. But I tell you what, these midweek round of fixtures, some really good matchups in this. So I'm really looking forward to it. We'll be able to reflect on that, plus, of course, everything that happens at the weekend when we're back at the same time next week. There's a really good update of everything that you're going to be able to keep across in midweek. We, of course, will be talking about that. Could be all change. 6 points in it by the time we're back on Monday. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.